If a good daily skincare routine is important to you, then check out the clinically superior exfoliation of the Active Glycolic Serum from my friends at averygraham.com. And for free shipping, use the code JOSHVIP. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Monday Morning Musings. It's technically in the afternoon, I know, but I just finished the nightmare playthrough of Resident Evil 3. I'm going for 100% in this game. I bought it for myself for my birthday. It is such a crazy flashback to remember playing the PS1 game, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, and how freaking scary it was to have Nemesis chase you around in the random events and trying to figure out the game. Remember shooting Nemesis for the first time and then a supply box dropped that I was like, what is this? And it was an upgrade for my pistol. It seemed like there was so many puzzles and things to solve within playing the game that I didn't even fully appreciate until being 34 years old now. 34. I'm in my mid-30s. Unfortunately, due to the quarantine, I had to celebrate it on my own. Well, not on my own. With my cat, Selena. Her and I share the same birthday. She turns 3, I believe. I had to kind of double check and go back in time and like, oh, I adopted her over this time, and then I moved out this time, and I've been in Seattle for 2 years. Next month was going to mark my 2-year anniversary working at White Swan Public House, the first restaurant I ever worked at up here in Seattle. And I was really looking forward to having a real kick-ass summer with a great group of people, both at White Swan Public House and Radiator Whiskey, where I usually will work about 1 day a week, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. But none of that's going to happen due to the quarantine. Still no idea when it's going to be over. Some estimates are saying maybe June. I mean, AMC Theaters the CEO is optimistic for mid-June, but that's because AMC just received a lower credit rating and is on the brink of default. They had a massive expansion. They bought a number of theater chains, but I don't think the multiplex is going to stick around here, folks. I think this is the end of the multiplex. Over the last 5 years, I've had to ask fellow theater goers, fellow audience members, to turn off their phones when they're watching a film. And sometimes the eyes that they would make at me like, oh, I can't believe you told me to do this. I'm just like, I can't believe you are so disrespectful. That is the one thing that I will get fired up about. And I'll get in a fight over. Grace Randolph over at Beyond the Trailer was telling this story about they were watching The Lone Survivor, and this guy's girlfriend just kept watching stuff on her iPad, and nobody approached him because he's this big dude. I would have approached him. I don't care how big you are. If you're going to turn to violence and you're in the wrong, I may have the scars, but I'll fight. I'll fight for that. Bending over for people that are assholes, I don't like people doing. I've seen it nowhere near somebody who would be on a subway train in New York so often. And there has been one time in particular where these people got in an altercation on the train here in Seattle, and I just minded my own business and did nothing. And I don't know if that was the right decision. Most of the time, yeah, to stay out of it, but these really loud, obnoxious people on the train were in the wrong, and a woman next to me called them out on it, asked them to quiet down, if you will, and then they got into a big shouting match. And then she referred to me like, I'm sure this guy here doesn't appreciate it. And I didn't do anything. I just kept listening to my headphones. And then after those really rude people left, the lady who I think it was the last straw for her, but she hit the window in frustration. And I just sit there going, this is what apathy does. And when I saw the Joker in that subway scene towards the beginning, when those 3 drunk assholes are harassing that woman, and you see her eyes meet Arthur's as like, hey, can you help me out here? Can you do something? And you're like, you know what? No. I understand that position of like, I want to come help you out. Because I don't want to get involved. And unfortunately, you make that decision at the time and you don't get involved and kind of have a stress-free day. But I still think about it. Obviously, I'm sharing it with you all today, but I still think about that moment, how I should have done or said something. So I can't ignore that, especially in a movie theater. I don't care if it's the President of the United States or Natalie Portman. If they're checking their phone in the theater and nobody else is doing something about it, I'll do something about it. And what I'd love to do is just go to the usher. Don't have that direct confrontation if you can avoid it, just because the usher is coming from a position of authority and you as an audience member, even though you're in the right, the triggered emotion that will happen for a lot of humans is they'll get pissed off, even though they're wrong, which is so stupid and makes them, not intelligent at the time, emotional, not logical. But to have an usher, the usher say, hey, they need you to turn that off. And if they don't, kick them out. I want to go to a theater that will do that and not hire 16-year-old kids because they can pay them the least amount of money. I mean, I remember watching these kids scramble to try to understand the vending protocol since everything became this like ticket order system where you order off the machine and then they fulfill the order after. But all it really did was just print out a receipt and you bring the receipt up to them and they fulfilled it. It was chaos. So this type of experience, this multiplex bottom dollar experience going to the theater, it's not going to fly when I can stay home and watch it on my 65-inch TV and my surround sound. If you want to create a spectacle event, a social event, then you need to be caretakers of the social event. Just like at a bar, we'd kick out somebody for being too loud or obnoxious. And I struggle with that too, of trying to avoid confrontation. The biggest point being because I'm self-aware of my height. I'm self-aware that kind of everything around me can turn into cardboard if I get super pissed off. And, trying to temper that of dealing with the customer, being assertive and firm in the decision of the policy that we're making, not reacting to them being a blowhard and insulting you, and then dealing with the stress afterwards. It really sucks. You want to avoid all of that stuff. And so I understand why managers, and I've had this as a life lesson over the last 2 years working in a restaurant, is picking your battles and, treating a customer cordially and nice, even when they don't deserve it. Other customers recognize that. And if you handle the situation with tact and poise, you maintain the feeling of everybody having a good time as best as you can. And I have a profound amount of respect for the two managers that I work for. Shout out to Aaron and Krista and everybody else that I work with, because it really is a life lesson in human emotion and dealing with people in all different ways, not just how they approach you, but how you are going to approach the situation. And there's no magic wand. One of my favorite phrases, there's no magic wand for experience. The only way you're going to learn how to do this is to be in the thick of it and do it. And after 2 years, I feel decent behind the bar. I feel confident enough to handle myself, but there's still so much for me to learn, to get faster, to really fully absorb, the making of these different syrups. And I felt really dumb because, I would taste a syrup and it would taste fine to me, but then my manager's like, it tastes kind of like nail polish, or it smells kind of like nail polish. That's how you know it's going bad. We have to make more. And I was like, what? How could I miss this? But I didn't know exactly what to look for until she showed me. And she's had to show me a couple times, but it's retained now. I love that experience, at least in this position, looking back and going, man, I had to do a lot of growing, information-wise, stress-wise, emotion-wise, in that sense. And I miss it. It's really, really crazy to think back at all of the things you've done in the last year, 2 years, when you have all this time on your hands, more or less. So that's what turning 34 was. It was a nice reflection, made a campfire, had fun with the cat and chilled and thought and pondered. And what I want to accomplish is just further seared into my mind. Resident Evil 3 is an action-packed game. It's a ton of fun. The voice acting is really good. Just even having played about 32 hours so far, and it's multiple, just replay to get more of the progression and get the achievements. But just really neat how this game looks and feels. I don't think it's worth the full price, though. And that's in relation to the review that SkillUp did and what people have been saying in comparison to Resident Evil 2 Remake. I haven't played Resident Evil 2. I bought it. I have it on Xbox One. It plays best on Xbox One. Thank you to Digital Foundry for their wonderful work to show you which games play better on which systems, and always go for that 60 frames per second. Resident Evil 2 plays better on the Xbox One. I bought it on sale a while ago. I haven't fired it up yet. But Resident Evil 3 plays better on the PS4 Pro. The frame rate is better on the PS4 Pro, so I got it for the Pro. Now, ideally, some of you ultimate hardcore gamers out there are like, you could just buy it for PC and not worry about the frame rate. And I'd tell them, yeah, but you know what? These consoles actually have better processing power than my PC at the moment. At least I believe it does. This PC I bought a year and a half ago. Geez, it's been that long? Yeah. And it's my main broadcast machine. And it works great. But if I want to have a hardcore gaming machine, I got to build it. And I plan to. I was planning on building one this spring, but can't really build a computer without any money. And there's no way I'm putting that stuff on a credit card. This fall was going to be actually the changed option because CD Projekt Red had changed the release date of Cyberpunk 2077 to the fall. So that was going to be the new computer for that new game. Just like I built one for The Witcher 3. Or I had one built, actually. Way back in the Newegg days, I did a show with my buddy Steve. Built a computer, took it home, fired that thing up. Oh my gosh. The Witcher was so beautiful. And possibly a Witcher 4. Not sure. We got Cyberpunk on the way. Anyways, back to Resident Evil 3. So the comparison Resident Evil 2, I can't give you that comparison, but I plan to play Resident Evil 2 here very soon. I'm going to 100% Resident Evil 3 today. And it's a sign of a great game if I feel compelled that I want to achieve 100%. It's this Zen-like quality of playing through, and going faster. This is the whole allure of speedrunning. Can you remember where the bad guys are? Can you remember where the key items are? And can you do it faster? It's a really challenging mental exercise, especially if you make a mistake. Like I remember Jill climbs up this ladder in the sewer, and if you don't walk all the way forward and then turn left, she'll start to descend the ladder, and that adds 4 seconds onto your speed run. I mean, some people that are trying to go for maybe the world record are not even going to attempt to save once. They're just going to cruise through. And in Inferno mode, if you die, there's no continue. It just goes back to where you load, and that's the mode I'm going to fire up here pretty soon. And then after that, after I beat Inferno mode and get an S rank in that mode, then I'm going to go back to standard because I still haven't gotten an S rank in standard. And I'm missing one file, one item. I went back and watched PS4 trophies. Or I think it's PlayStation trophies. He's got a great channel that shows you where to find stuff to unlock trophies, you know. It's pretty self-explanatory. But I watched and followed, I thought, to the T, to the letter, of unlocking or finding all the items in the game. And I got all the bobblehead dudes, but I'm still missing one goddamn file. But I'll find it. It's also it's a sign of a great game is like the more hours you put into it, the stronger you feel you become. And you can look back and go, wow, I was so weak back then. encapsulates what I was talking about earlier of, wow, I knew so little. I hardly knew how to even express or identify what that item is, or how to, what an Amaro is, what a fortified wine means, all these different things. And now I look back and go, wow, I've definitely grown. I've definitely gained experience. And you feel like a god. Resident Evil 3, save up those points so you can buy the infinite rocket launcher. I'm glad I did, because that makes these super hard run-throughs that much easier, so easier. But it feels like, I've done this before and I was struggling so hard, and now, boom, I can blow everything up and keep moving on. It's a real good feeling. And so in that respect, it's definitely worth the price of admission, but not the full $60, because the multiplayer mode that's been added onto it, I haven't even touched it. I'll probably check it out, but that's not the reason why I play Resident Evil games. I play it for that survival horror. Resident Evil 3 has always been more action. But yeah, I highly recommend it. If you are on the fence, or if you want to wait for it to go on sale, good enough. But if you want a fun action game that you can pour 30 to 40 hours into to maximize everything, yeah, give it a shot. All right, so content for me this week. I'm actually filming a show remotely this week. They're sending me the gear. I could do it from home, but they insist on sending it and having a crew come into my house and film it. So I at least have some work coming my way. Mortal Kombat Legends is around the corner. Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge. I will review it. I may do a watch-along party via streaming. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to it a lot. And Resident Evil 3, in terms of streaming single player, I really have some qualms about people just jumping on and streaming single player, like the whole campaign, and putting all the videos up there. Like, it's cool to show parts and pieces, with zero to mild spoilers, with the appropriate warnings. But if you stream the single player campaign for a game that comes out the same day, that's like streaming a film that came out the same day, where I don't have to pay a single cent. And yeah, I'm not playing it, just like, I'm not in the theater watching it with the way it's meant to be experienced, but this is just the standard of today. So I still have qualms about that. Maybe a 2-week window until I stream more of the single player. But, it'd be fun to do some Inferno runs and see if I can get the fastest time. I'm just on the fence about it. And I know game developers have different opinions too, but they don't really fight against it, because at least the numbers have dictated, I would assume they have, that this increases the game sales because it's more awareness. Okay, I could lean towards that, but for me, streaming is just more about the multiplayer or something really specific or fun that's on the single player side that you want to have that social experience with, watching it with chat and with the streamer. But I could be totally wrong. Stream single player, everybody loves the way that you do it. You're ranking in money. The game developers are sending you these free copies of the games so people can watch it themselves. I think it's just up to the audience member too. Do you want to sit down and watch somebody play through the game, or do you want to play through it? And look where streaming has come from the last 10 years. I'm all over the place today. That's all right. So media this week, I watched Spawn on HBO. It left me wanting more. I want an animated film that continues that storyline. I really thought there were some great moments in that series too. Twitch and I think Sam is his partner. Really well done. Characters you really cared about. Final Fantasy VII Remake comes out Friday. I haven't been as hyped compared to other people that I know, just because I really like 7. 7 opened up a whole new world for me. That was the first PlayStation game I ever played. I borrowed my friend's PlayStation to play that game. But 8 is my favorite. And I know they came out with a remaster of 8, and that's something that I would love to stream. You know, classic, retro, everybody knows the story. Let's go back and enjoy. But the reviews I'm seeing, at least the headlines, I haven't read the reviews yet. There's Jason Schreier's review, and then I know Skill Up has his coming out. But they're saying it's pretty damn good. So I'm going to check it out. The one thing I'm going to miss when I stop playing Resident Evil 3 is there's a quote from the Harley Quinn animated series. It's Jim Gordon, and it's so funny. But he pulls out his pistol and he yells, "I'm going to fuck you to death with bullets." So I've been shouting that at every fucking zombie that comes around the corner in Resident Evil 3. The first episode of season 2 of Harley Quinn is out. I think a couple episodes are out now, but I haven't dived into them. I really just prefer to binge them. I loved the first season so much because I knocked it out all in one morning. But if you've watched it or if you plan on watching it, let me know. Love to get your thoughts on season 2. Hopefully it's as good as season 1, if not better. It's always tough when you really nail something the first season. You've had all this time to polish it, but then it becomes so successful, or they sell it and like, all right, we need a season 2. It's like, well, I spent 5 years on season 1. Now I only have 3 months to work on season 2. I mean, I haven't been in that situation yet when I've sold a show. I hope to be in a situation like that, but I really hope to have a solid outline of where I want to take things into. I really think most shows shouldn't last more than 5 seasons, maybe less. I mean, it just depends too. I mean, you look at Smallville. That went on for 10 years. 22 episodes a season, more or less. I mean, I think that show was going on during the writer's strike, and they had less in a season. I don't know any show today, at least within my universe of content consumption, that has more than 13 episodes a season. Less is more. But we got a lot. We got a lot of stuff to watch. I still keep wanting to watch Tiger King. I think that is one of the most well-crafted pieces of media in telling a story using reality footage. I mean, you can't... I can't take any reality shows from here on seriously. Just because of what Kirkman was saying of, he was producing a reality show to make it look like a zoo that cared for animals, but they didn't. It's nuts. But there's supposed to be a follow-up episode. I guess people are calling in over Skype. The demand is there. And I've seen a number of them appear with David Spade. And I love the question that he asked, like, hey, are you going to, if they make a movie, who would you want to play you? And Matthew McConaughey can totally play, I think his name's Reiki, the guy with no legs. David Spade as Joe Exotic. Maybe a little bit too on the nose, but that'd be fun. It's tough because the real thing is going to be so much better than the movie. It's right there on Netflix. All right, so Final Fantasy comes out Friday. Podcast. Listen to my podcast. I'm going to plug my podcast, the J.Gray Podcast. I got 8 episodes in the can, all on YouTube. I need to get the audio versions uploaded on iTunes and Spotify, along with another long list of things that I need to do. I'll get to it. A podcast I'd like to recommend, or a show on YouTube at least, is System Update with Glenn Greenwald. It's on the Intercept YouTube channel. I've watched the first half. Very fascinating points of discussion with his guest as she talks about, what went wrong with the Bernie Sanders campaign in a retrospect. It's tough to still kind of digest where we are politically as a nation as we're going through this quarantine. But, I'm a Bernie Sanders man through and through because of the policies. If Joe Biden adopted, say, half of Bernie Sanders' policies, I would be more comfortable voting for him. Right now, I just don't know. And if Donald Trump adopted Bernie Sanders' policies, I can't. I can't. There's no way I could vote for him again. I don't know what's going to happen, but I voted for Hillary Clinton last election cycle, 4 years ago, because Bernie Sanders, I voted for him for sure, but the primaries went to Hillary. Bernie campaigned for Hillary, and he was instrumental in me voting for Hillary. And also something that Bill Maher explained. Yeah, you may not be going as fast to the destination that you want to go with Hillary, but at least you're moving in that direction. If you vote Republican or you vote for Trump, you're not moving in the progressive direction that you want to go. I was like, I really took that to heart. But the fuck you vote was louder, at least in the Electoral College. And I get it. I do. And what's even more infuriating right now is here we are moving into week 5 of the quarantine, but year 3 into year 4 of President Trump's administration, right? It's not just one man that's responsible for this. And here we are. So I'm trying to get over the hump of, I'll vote for Joe, but I really don't feel like it. I just want to tell the Democratic Party, fuck you for once again taking corporate money and doing what the corporations want. It is so apparent. It is so apparent. It became everybody's got to fall in line and we have to push the candidate that is safest for our corporate donors for the Democratic side. And, at the end of the day, the rich are still going to get rich, be it Trump or Biden. It's the poor and the middle class that are getting fucked. And now it feels like we're going to get fucked either way. Bernie's still running. I'm still supporting Bernie. And, musings right now, folks, feel free to critique me if you want. Send your ideas over. Don't be afraid. I'm not going to get offended. I may say fuck you on the internet, and I may say fuck you in person. But you're going to have to go pretty far or be pretty lazy to do that. I don't know. I've been saying a lot more on Twitter these days. Guys, I'm fed up in a lot of respects. You kind of you try to fight for ideals and see others fighting for those similar ideals, and it's like you get 2 steps forward and then 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And, a year and a half ago kind of felt like maybe a step forward. And now a presidential candidate who can't even understand online distribution from his own home. I built this set for $5,000. And the candidate for the president of the United States can't hire or figure out somebody to run a live stream from his house? Are you fucking kidding me? This capitulation is appalling. All right, that's all I'll say in the world of politics at the moment. Okay, but check out that show. And Glenn Greenwald, shout out to him. I responded to a tweet from Howard Dean, and Glenn liked the tweet, and I got some good responses from it. But Shout out to anybody who puts their entire reputation on the line year after year after year after year to tell the truth. To tell the truth. I don't know why it seems to be such a fucking nightmare for people to be able to do that. But I guess when you have all that money rolling in and all you have to do is keep lying, and if you tell the truth, that money goes away. If I was a human, well, I am a human. Oh, secret's out. I'm a robot. I wish sometimes, but no, it's better to have emotion and be connected to life. I hope AI can learn that. I mean, I don't know how you can program the appreciation of life. It's encoded in us because it's where we come from. Maybe I should write a book. Maybe I should write a book about my transition from, the top-down Judeo-Christian Western theology and background to nature, evolution, shamanistic principles, understanding of herbs, plants, medicine. I mean, so much fulfillment realizing that we come from nature and we're a part of nature. We are nature studying nature. And I hope you get to see some nature during this quarantine. If you can go out for a walk, go to a park. Well, you can't really go to a park. They're closed. If you can be around some trees, or better yet, if you can see the night sky, I guarantee you'll feel a little bit better, because I do. That's the number one thing I give my gamer friends when it comes to advice about balance or lifestyle. Like, you have to see nature. The more disconnected you feel from that, the more isolated you feel, the less happier you are. And, it's like with sunshine. You got to see the sun. Anyways, folks, thanks for listening to my ramblings in today's Monday morning musings. Still doing okay. I wish you all the best. Some days I struggle with the optimism, but I'm really glad that we have so much information and ways to communicate at our fingertips. And I'm even more glad that I can shut all that off and just be in nature. Even if it's on my back porch with my cat, looking at a fire and cooking some chicken sausages. You do what we can. It's the little things. As we learned in Zombieland, it's the little things. Well, that's my Monday morning musing. I'll probably be streaming or be online or at least do a Resident Evil 3 video maybe this week, kind of depending on what my workload schedule is going to be with this remote show. But I'll keep you posted. Make sure to give me a follow on all the social medias, Instagram, Twitter, at Mr. Joshua Gray. I'll see you online.